In this second section, we are going to discuss the structure of Genesis 1:1 through 2:3. The 6 days of creation can be structured as dealing with, first of all, in days 1 through 3, cosmic structures, and in days 4 through 6 as sort of inhabitants or functions. And days 1 and 4 are parallel, days 2 and 5, 3 and 6. And so, for example, in the first day, we have the creation of light and the separation of light from dark. And in day 4, we have the lights, sun, moon, and stars. Day 2, a dome to separate the waters. And in day 5, the creatures of the waters and the sky. Day 3, the gathering together of the dry land and vegetation. And day 6, the creatures of the land and man and woman in God's own image. There is a concern throughout for creation as the ordering and making functional. So the various functions or structures of the world are created first. And the first of those, you could say, is time. And I know, yes, it says, let there be light. But then it goes to say that the light is separated from the darkness. And so you have light, day, and darkness, night, evening and morning, one day. And so there is light, but it's also time. Next, you have the creation of the firmament, the heavens, and the waters, including control of precipitation. And it talks about a firmament or a dome in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God called the firmament heaven. It's also translated sky. And there was evening and morning a second day. So you have the waters separated, and you have a firmament. The waters that are above the heavens are precipitation, rain and snow, etc. Then you have a gathering together of the dry land. And so you then have a separation, waters from dry land. And on that dry land, vegetation is brought forth. And so now you have the conditions for the other kinds of life to appear. The functionaries of the heavens, one could say the inhabitants, are the sun, moon, and stars, but perhaps it is better to see them as functionaries. They are those elements of the world that sort of set apart various times and seasons and days and years. And they also serve to separate the light from the darkness. The day 5 includes the inhabitants, the animals of water and sky, the fish and the birds of the air, including the great sea monsters. Their function, you could say, is to be fruitful and to multiply. On day 6, you have both the creation of the cattle and creeping things and beasts of the earth. And by the way, here cattle refers to kind of all domesticated animals in flocks, sheep and goats included. Cattle does not originally mean only cows. And God makes humankind as well and gives them the position, the vocation of having dominion. Now this in recent times has been often misinterpreted. The idea here is not predation or taking advantage of or exploitation, but rather wise rule, making sure that a state of peace, that a state of life exists. So it is the God-given task, in fact, carrying out what God himself does, of keeping order, of giving wise rule. And again, the function of all of those animals is to be fruitful and multiply. And note that at this point, God says, I have given you every plant yielding seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. So, in the very beginning, everybody was a vegetarian. The seventh day is a day of rest. But one can see that the rest is, in a sense, in a temple. The whole cosmos, all that God has created, is the temple, and it is here that God rests. Rest is the objective of creation, functioning in ordered space. When rest is referred to in the Old Testament, it refers to freedom from invasion and conflict so people can live at peace and conduct their daily lives without interruption. It's a state of order. God takes up his residence there in order to rule, and he relates to the creatures he has placed there. The theme of presence dominates. In general, in the ancient world, the creation of the world is connected with the building of temples from which the cosmos is to be ordered. We see here in a Sumerian document, when it's talking about the time before the earth exists, there is no high priest, there are no rites of purification. Those can only be built once earth has been created. In the Enuma Elish, tablet 5, there is a conclusion with the enthronement of Marduk and the building of his temple and the city of Babylon. So again, the creation or the making of the world is attached to the building of a temple. And in the prayer concerning the founding of Eridu, it talks again, the state of the world originally was that there was no holy house, no house of the gods. But then finally, as things were created or built, here it's Eridu is built, Esagila, the temple, was created.